Welcome to the Circuit of Success. I'm your host, Brett Gilliland. Today, I've got a Cardinal player with me, man. I'm fired up. Trevor Rosenthal, what's going on, my man?
That's right. Baseball is in full swing. What's up, Brett? Thanks for inviting me to come on the show.
Absolutely. Like the old hat launch there. You got that on your shirt. You got a buddy there. I got a new relationship from back in the day. So I got some hats. You got some hat stuff getting made. They're good stuff. We're not being paid to say that, but we'll give them a little plug here.
Definitely. It's a good plug. St. Louis boys through and through. Got to support local.
That's right, man. That's right. So, you are Trevor Rosenthal. You are a 2015 Major League Baseball All-Star, single saves leader for the Cardinals. And what was that, 2015 as well for 48. Beat my boy Izzy there, didn't you? You had to beat Izzy. Isn't that who you beat? Was Jason?
Yeah, scratched him out by just a couple, and Lee Smith as well.
Nice.
Big name guys.
Two big names for the Cardinals. And then, so single saves leader that year. And then 2015, you were the third youngest pitcher with 40-plus saves in back-to-back seasons, man. That was it was awesome. So fun to watch you. But before we dive into it, being from Lee's Summit, Missouri, I got to ask you, were you a Cardinal fan or a Royals fan?
I'd say a little bit of both. There was some great players on both teams, certainly Pujols for St. Louis, and pretty cool story, actually being able to watch Carlos Beltran and also Zach Greinke growing up in the St. Louis area. Beltran was a teammate, and that 2015 year, Greinke was an All-Star Game teammate of mine. So pretty surreal experience to have. And now at 33 years old, I have the young bucks coming up to me telling me these same stories, and I realized, man, maybe I shouldn't have mentioned that to Carlos Beltran when he was my team if I didn't make him feel too young.
Yeah, I used to grow up watching you play. So if you can, tell us what's made you the man you are today, man. You don't just grow up and then become a Major League Baseball player. There's a lot there, and would love to dive into that and start the conversation there.
Oh, yeah, that's a big question. Definitely has, could dive in deep, but I think, I was fortunate to have great parents, first and foremost. I was born in Kearney, Nebraska. My dad owned a restaurant with a business partner in Kearney, and watched him work hard and operate that as a young child from age 1 to 6. And then at 6 years old, my dad was about actually my age now, and he decided to go back to law school. So we moved into the Kansas City, Lee Summit, Missouri area. He went back, became an attorney, and I think a combination of those two things, one being exposed to the farm life, the constant work ethic that requires, and then seeing my dad put himself through a rigorous course and coursework with education and to change career paths really just rubbed off on me, I think, more than anything. And grew up as a normal kid playing sports, and eventually had the opportunity to become a professional baseball player, and being able to apply that discipline and work ethic that was demonstrated for me as a kid, apply that to the opportunity I had in the game, was very good, and it paid huge dividends, and very thankful for that.
Yeah, I think I'm always fascinated, man, by guys like you didn't grow up. I mean, you probably pitched and all that stuff, right, growing up, but I know you went to play junior college baseball, I believe, right? And you were a shortstop. And so, like, how does that conversation go? It's like, hey, you're no longer going to be a shortstop, man. You're moving to a pitcher.
Conversation is a tough one, as most pitchers will tell you. No one wants to be just a pitcher only. That's right. It's fun to go up to the plate. It's fun to hit home runs. I mean, chicks stick a long ball, right? Like that's
right,
what we
exactly.
Want to do. But at a certain point, you can't hit 95, or you're swinging at the breaking ball in the dirt over and over again. You might have to take advantage of the powerful right arm.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because I know it wasn't Jason Mott. Wasn't he a catcher, I think, first? I mean, there's tons of stories. Ankyo, all these guys. It's just amazing to me to get to the level that you guys get to, and it wasn't your main position. It just shows you how athletic you are, and again, the mindset, which we'll talk about. So let's talk about that. So when you're pitching, what's Trevor Rosenthal's mindset on the mound?
Yeah, it's evolving. I think at the end of the day, to sum it all up, when you get on the mound, when you get into competition, You have to have some pretty clear and concise thoughts, and it starts with confidence. And without confidence, it's going to be hard to compete or win at any level, especially against the competition who's the best in the world at what they're doing. My confidence a lot of times comes from preparation that has put me in that situation, and then also a mindset of I'm not in it alone. We're fortunate enough to be in a team sport and have a bunch of guys behind me that are supporting me and really trying to give their best, just as I am, to have success on that field. So those two things, being confident in myself and being confident in the team that's behind me, are really the clear thoughts. And then from there, we could go down the list that goes into the preparation of scouting and workouts and sleep, diet, all the contributors that go into that preparation.
Yeah, and I think what I like now, it seems more than ever, I don't know if it's social media or what it is, but you're finding more and more people focusing on sleep and hydration and all the things that are so important. Again, whether that's business or baseball, it is a focus of yours. And it's one of the things I wrote down today is the off-season kind of prep versus the in-season prep. What was that like? Did that differ for you much? Was it the same? What was that like?
It is a lot different. I think it goes to different stages almost, where in the off season there's a build up. We're trying to really just prepare our body as much as possible. We use that spring training phase to continue to build the body, but then also adjusting the mind to the season ahead, the challenges that are going to be ahead. And then throughout the season, it's a game of adjustments. It's a game of recognizing the competition, getting the feedback from your results, and constantly adjusting to achieve the goals that you have. And the ultimate goal is winning.
Amen to that. Taking some notes here, writing something down I thought of. So talk about that. So let's say it's game day today. The difference between being a starting pitcher and a relief pitcher is, you assume, hopefully, especially the roles you were playing, you're probably going to pitch, if not every day, you'll get a day off here and there, but you got to go with the mindset every day that you're going in, right? So what was that like? It's 1:10 on a Thursday afternoon here, and the game's not till 7:10, let's call it. What's going on right now for Trevor?
1:10. Right now we have completed the night before, usually end the night with a little recap of how my day went performance-wise, maybe make some notes on things that I would like to change or repeat for the following day. So had a good night's sleep, breakfast, a good meal. Are you losing me? Did we cut out? Am I good?
No, I got you. Sorry, there's a little delay, but we're good. I got you.
Okay. Little delay. Okay. So right about 1 o'clock, we're headed down to the ballpark. Usually I'm using that time to be on the phone during the drive with family and friends, kind of taking advantage of that time to catch up and build or maintain some relationships. And then once we get to the park, it's more or less kind of phone in the locker, phone off, and we start the build up for the game. And both the things with physically, the body and the mind. I think that's the difference, the biggest difference of being a professional athlete versus a business leader or a normal workforce is you have to prepare two things. We're preparing the body and the mind. And a lot of the time, how the body feels can affect how the mind feels. And that's an interesting game that you learn to play. But I've learned over the years, the mind is very powerful. And so a lot of what I've done and what I've learned is to do everything possible to keep that positive mindset and build that momentum. And from the time I walk in the door and until 7 o'clock when the first pitch comes, it's trying to create as much positive momentum as possible and bring that into that game. And we're lucky enough to have great teammates that help with that as well.
Yeah. Well, I think it's too, what's different is if I come in and have a bad day at work today, they're not going to write an article about it. It's not going to be all over social media, right? But you give up the old 2-strike, 2-out home run, man. Everybody's going to be talking about it. And what the hell, how's he do this? All this stuff, right? And how much of that do you control that in your mind? Do you think much about it? How do you get through that?
Yeah, it's the good and the bad about playing every single day or being a relief pitcher and having to be available every day is um, it's great because you can turn the page and you get a new opportunity, but it's
Yeah.
also bad because things can start to snowball pretty quickly, and when you're
Right.
not able to turn the page and you're carrying day to day out with you what happened the night before or what that reporter said, it can really get in the way of or be roadblocks of what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah. I one time mentioned his name again here, Isringhausen. He said, you got to have a short term memory. You got to be able to turn the page quickly. And so you can't think about that thing, not to keep bringing up home runs, but you can't think about the home run last night because that was last night. Now it's Thursday night. I got to go dominate and become this guy on the mound. You agree with that?
I agree, and that's where the routine, where the preparation is so important. And if you're able to create enough of that momentum or enough of the routine or enough X, Y, and Z habits that you're focused on completing, a lot of times we hear people talk about falling in love with the process, which I think goes right down to what you're doing to prepare and all those
Yeah.
steps that you're taking. And the goal is I want a clear mind and I want a body that's ready to perform. And if we back up to that 1 o'clock arrival time, we have our time filled all the way up until game time. You're not leaving a lot of room for those negative thoughts. And I think that's really important for anybody. And certainly negative emotions were going to weigh you down. And that's when you get that feeling of being stuck or you can't have that, you're going backwards. You've never really been able to stay in one spot. You're either going forward or you're going backward. And when you understand that or you operate in a place where you have that belief, it's much more beneficial to keep rolling forward than keep going back.
Yeah. So what was the goal planning process like for you? Did you, like take 2015, for example, all-star, 48 saves for the year, single season record for the Cardinals. Like, do you sit down before the season and say, I want to have X amount of saves? Or is it more of, again, you talk about passion for the process. Is it more of that and then the results just happen? What was it like for you?
I've done both. I was fortunate early on in my career, for whatever reason, was into journaling, was into goal setting, and just actually recording them and writing them down and having specific goals and then reverse engineering on how to get there. And I've done both ways where I've written down statistics that I would like to achieve. But I found more than anything, the goals that helped me to get where I wanted to go were based on more things that I could control. A big one, I would say number one most of the time, was just being a great teammate. And for whatever reason, it translated into taking pressure off of myself, where when I showed up every day, I was focused more on the energy and the things that I could do to help the guy sitting next to me, or the things that I could learn from a veteran player that he was sharing with me. And that was a big part of building my confidence and building, I guess, the opportunities to be successful. And then from there, it was, talking about work ethic. And I understood that if I really showed up every single day and didn't focus on the feedback, or I guess more the results that I was getting, positive or negative, if I showed up every day and just truly worked diligently, worked hard at what I was doing, I could trust whether or not I was successful or not, that I really just gave all that I had. And those were the two things that I decided I was willing to go to the grave on. And I could look myself in the mirror at the end of my career, or at the end of the season, and understand that I at least did those two things, and I'm going to be able to sleep well tonight.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Put in the effort, man. The effort matters. When you think about, those habits and rituals, and let's even talk more now today, what are the things that are no miss items? If I followed you around with the camera, what am I going to see day in and day out that Trevor Rosenthal's doing then and now? So I'm sure some of them are still the same.
Yeah. Wow. That's so many things. I'm big on nutrition. I think nutrition is important. I don't know if I'm not listing these in any type of order, just what's coming to my mind. But you're gonna see a guy who takes care of himself. He eating well and sleeping well, prioritizing my physical health is going to be something that you're going to see. I think going back to being a good teammate is being respectful, treating people the way I would want to be treated, bringing positivity into every situation, no matter what it is. And then from there, I think continuing to learn, being a student of life, of the game, of all things that I'm involved in, and especially a profession or a career is I've always wanted to keep a mindset that I'm new and I'm still learning and I have a lot to learn and a long ways to go. So I've been active in continuing to read books or seek out information from individuals who have been gone down the road before me.
Right. Yeah, I love that. So who would you say some of your mentors are now and, in the past, but even before professional sports, was there mentors during, right now? In the future, like who do you see there? Do you go to for advice now?
Yeah, I've been so lucky to have so many great mentors. Growing up, there were multiple former professional players, athletes that had bred some of that discipline into my everyday training that I was able to build upon. And then, man, being in an organization like the St. Louis Cardinals, you're just surrounded by just high character individuals, but then you're talking about Jason Isringhausen and these guys who are wearing the red jackets. They do such a good job of keeping them in the organization, keeping them involved, and those guys just want to give back and they want to be a source. And so I'm so thankful for all of them, all of those guys pouring into me. But one guy that has really stood out more than anybody was Matt Holliday. Matt was a teammate of mine for the majority of my time in St. Louis. Him and his wife, Leslie, are amazing people. And he, for whatever reason, went out of his way to take me under his wing and kind of put his arm around me from day one and make sure that at the very minimum, he was shining a light on the path for me to follow. And it was up to me to follow or listen, but yeah, Matt's had an incredible career and a tremendous impact on and off the field. And, so I'm fortunate that there were guys like that, Matt, and the Cardinals organization, leather jacket wearers, even all the way down to managers that I had in the minor leagues that we'll never really know their names. Those guys really had a strong impact on myself and a lot of my teammates.
Yeah. Let's dig more into that Holiday relationship. I mean, we talk about this at work. It's values alignment, right? I mean, I think you guys probably, my experience is, you've always got a smile on your face. He's an uplifting guy. I've been around him a couple of times, and he seems, to be very positive and thinking big and doing the things you want to do. You get your Christian values together, right? So, I mean, I think the values alignment is what's sticky. Would you agree with that?
I would. And it's interesting because we come from very different backgrounds, but we did bond over a lot of things. And I think aside from our faith and just walking in a little bit different way than you might expect from a superstar or a top prospect, walking with a little bit more humbleness and a desire to serve more than you receive. I think we've really bonded over work ethic and discipline, and I think he saw that in me at an early age, and I certainly saw that in his brawny forearms when I first met him.
Could break you in half.
Oh, he would. It was impressive. I was lucky. We actually were able to train together in the off seasons in St. Louis for multiple years, and man, what a great athlete and specimen of a monster he is. I had a hard time keeping up, but I'm trying to find other ways that I could maybe edge him out.
That's right. How cool is that for his son, man, to be the number one pick in the Major League Baseball draft? That's just phenomenal. Yeah,
I was thinking about this the other day. We, like I said, Matt's been a huge influence, and we actually have the same baseball agent, and we were talking about Matt's involvement in my career and other players' career and how much he's helped out. And really what I was thinking is, Matt, if you listen at the minimum, you just listen to Matt and does what he tells you, you're going to be all right. You're going to, whatever happens, you're going to be okay. He's not going to run you astray. I think a testament to that is nothing better than your own son. As a dad, you have a tremendous amount of influence over your children, and to see the success that Jackson is having now, I think, is a testament to how great of a leader Matt Holliday is.
So you think we'll see him in the big leagues soon, huh?
I mean, it's a tough industry, but he seems to be taking it in stride at a young age.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's just a matter of time at this point. But it'll be exciting. I'll be there. I told Matt, I'm like, let me know when you get that call, because I want to be there.
Jump on the first plane and be there. So let's talk about some of your best moments in baseball, man. That's obviously you've been around some big games. You were a stud in the 2013 World Series as well. So like, is that the pinnacle? Like, what was some of the best moments you've had in your baseball career?
It's so hard. They're all so amazing. And another question that I've played, I think, on 8 or 9 teams now, 8 or 9 different organizations. And common question is, what's your favorite stadium? What's your favorite team? Your favorite moment? And when you're in the major leagues, I mean, that's just such a dream come true. They're all amazing, from your debut to getting the first call to making a World Series appearance, an All-Star Game appearance. Really, every day that you get to show up and walk in that locker room is pretty thrilling and hard not to appreciate. So it's very difficult for me to pick one out. And I think as I just continue to reflect and also, just continuing to work and move forward and seeing what future opportunities look like for me in my career, just appreciative of just that, of the opportunities. And it's such a thrilling highlight, even to be having a conversation like this today and reflecting on so many amazing moments that I've been able to be a part of. I mean, nothing that I would have dreamed of as a kid that I would have called Carlos Beltran, Matt Holliday, Yadi Molina. My goodness, being able to throw a baseball to him over and over again. What a thrilling time for me and to have in this life.
Yeah. It's funny. I just got out of a business lunch, and somehow the person knew. So Yadi was my neighbor for years. And, I told a funny story. I said, most of the time you go and your kids, they go to birthday parties and they walk out, they got like bubbles and like, gum and some candy and like a nice little bag. My wife always makes these nice bags for kids when they leave, when kids were little. And, it was different at Yadi's house, man. You'd leave the birthday parties and you'd walk out with like an autographed baseball from Yadi or Molina. Or, he was, and during the season, summer league baseball for the kids, it was tough. But off season, during off days, he'd be at the game, and all of a sudden there'd be 200 people watching our little 7-year-olds play baseball together. But you watch a guy like that, man, and it's incredible to see, even when he was out with little kids, on what he was teaching them. And so I tell those stories because he's an amazing guy. But what was it like when you're pitching to Yadi or Molina?
Yeah, there's elite competitor. Obviously, the talent is on another level, but the work ethic was second to none. The competitor he was second to none. There was a very eye-opening moment. It actually happened in my major league debut. Had given up a hit, a walk, maybe runners on first and second, and my heart's racing. I'm excited. It's like nothing I had ever experienced in my life, making your major league debut. I remember stepping off the mound, getting the ball back, and actually Rafael Furcal was our shortstop. And I remember very vividly him just encouraging me and just, typical attaboy, like, let's get him, baseball type of lingo, but with this deeper sense of passion and just coming from a place where it's like, okay, this is like Yadi, Rafael Furcal, a storied baseball player, a veteran. He's achieved all these amazing milestones. He's towards the end of his career, and I'm just beginning mine. And I have the support of this guy. I mean, it was just it just filled me with a flame, and Yadi was the same way. And I think from that day forward, understanding that as hard as I was working on the mound, as much preparation and sacrifice and discipline I had put in to give myself that opportunity or to take advantage of an opportunity, Yadi was behind the plate doing the same thing, if not more. wanting the same amount or if not more success for me. And
Yeah.
man, what a teammate to have.
Did you ever shake him off?
It's so funny. He's so short answer, yes. Long answer, I don't know if this has been documented. I'm sure it has, but Yadi had this on a couple occasions, depending on how the game was going. Usually, if it was lopsided and things weren't going well, but if I've seen him do this multiple times, once to me, but if you shook him off too many times, he wouldn't give you a pitch sign. He would just give you like just throw it, just whatever you want.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, amazing, right? You're talking about some pitchers throwing 100 miles an hour and Wainwright type curveballs, and man, the guy had no fear. He's a special individual.
So it's probably his way though as well to say, all right, dude, you think you got it all figured out? Just come on, bring it. I'm not gonna make the call. You think you got it figured out? Bring it, right?
Yeah, and yeah, there was times where I shook him off, and he came out to the mound and talked to me, and we would settle on something. But it's interesting that question comes up so often because it gives an illusion that Yadi has a stubbornness or a know-it-all kind of mentality, and it's really nothing of that nature. I think it stems more from his competitiveness, and if he understands that as a pitcher you have a reason for what you're doing, or if he sees the work that you're doing and you develop that relationship, there's no presumed, I guess, outside animosity that actually taking place. He's truly just wanting what's best in that situation to help the team win.
I thought it was just so cool a couple years ago that I think it was a young guy on Houston, I think it was, right? He tried to pick him off at first, and the guy got back there. Did you see that? And then he's like, he literally takes his helmet off. He's like, here, go. Yeah. Go to second. Try me, man. I know I'm late in my career. And the guy on a changeup throws it down to second, guns him, and he just walks off. I'm like, dude's a badass. It's pretty amazing.
And there's so many of those moments. I mean, that's what's amazing.
Yeah. That's awesome. So when you talked about, you played, I think you said 7 or 8 teams. What was it like playing for the Cardinals? I mean, having the birds on the bat compared to these other teams? Not to knock any other teams, of course, but what was it like playing for the Cardinals?
Yeah, I mean, it's different. I definitely hold the Cardinal organization in a special place in my heart. I was drafted by the Cardinals, came up through the minor leagues, debuted, and had a ton of career success and highlights that happened with the birds on the bat. So it's tough to compare really anything else to that. I will say, as I've gone through different organizations and matured in the game, matured as a person, it's been very enjoyable to learn the ins and outs, especially on the business side, and how different organizations implement development, talent development, scouting development, all these different pieces that go into the game that you don't necessarily see or understand as a young player. Difference from organization to organization. And
right.
With a lot of them, you can see why they might not have as much success as an organization like St. Louis does things a certain way. And when we hear the Cardinal way, that is something that stems from a lot of those guys that we've talked about. They've passed along a tradition of winning and culture that has a way of breeding that type of success that's expected.
Yeah, well, let's hope we get back on that winning train, right? It's been a tough season for the Cardinals, to say the least. So, last couple questions here, man. That call to the minors, to the majors from the minors, what was that like? Was that a special moment? Obviously, it's a special moment, but pretty cool story there.
Very cool story. Actually, I was in Double-A, which is rare to get the call from your Double-A manager to come up to the major leagues. My wife was actually in town. We had just gotten married the offseason before. My wife was in town. I was a starting pitcher at the time. And in between starts, you have different duties. My duty that day was to be in the stands with a radar gun charting pitch speeds for our pitcher and for the opposing pitcher. And my wife had surprised me coming town, so she was sitting. Always made her sit like a couple seats away or a row back to make it, like I'm here to work, but we can talk a little bit in between innings. And so The game goes by, manager calls me into the office after the game, and going into that office, I was certain I was in trouble for talking to my wife during the game, which is the most ironic part of the situation. But it gives me the call, or it gives me the information, it tells me I'm going up to the big leagues, and I'm able to. My wife's there, so we're able to celebrate. And it's an amazing moment. It's completely unexpected, which was really cool. And then being young and having an opportunity that, I mean, as you just, every child, every young ball player dreams of coming to the major leagues. But I tell that story because I think that mindset that I had of thinking I was in trouble, I mean, that stemmed from me understanding, like, you know, this opportunity I have is so special, and I respected that opportunity so much. I respected the organization. I didn't want to do anything to ever hurt that, you know, other than having bad performance on the field.
Yeah.
And I think that really helped me as I got into the major leagues and continued to have success. I think it helped me to stay focused and not get distracted by a lot of the other things that come along with being a Major League Baseball player.
So you get the call, so I guess you were what, in Springfield, Missouri at that time, or where were you at?
Yeah, Springfield, Missouri, Hammons Park Field, great place to play baseball.
So you get the call. So then do you physically get in like a vehicle? You and your wife got a bag, and you head up to St. Louis, and then you park, you walk in. I mean, what is that like? You walk in that major league locker room for the first time.
Yeah, now today, after 10 years of major league service, it seems normal, but at that time,
but that first one, right? You're walking in there, and there's, I guess Pujols would have been gone at that time, right? But then you got Yadi and Waino and these guys. And so what's that like?
It's just everything at that level is just so big. And just the locker room, you know, the food that's available is 10 times what you have in the minor leagues. The uniforms are always pressed and clean to perfection. Everything in your locker is laid out. Everything from the visceral experience to having the interviews. You have these big cameras with microphones and reporters in suits and lights. You go from playing in a stadium with a single deck of seats to a stadium now that has 3 decks of seats. There's all these things, like I said, that seem normal now because I've gotten accustomed to it. But I remember at 22 years old walking into this, and it's just, I mean, an incredible rush of adrenaline to understand, okay, like there's people actually showing up to come see me play, per se.
Yeah. Well, and also too, you got to think. I'm in the money business, so you got to think that first time you look at your bank, your checking account after probably playing baseball for a month versus the minor league AA, what you get paid. It's like, holy crap! Like this is the real deal.
That was a cool experience too that I kind of forget about, but because I was drafted 21st round, didn't have a big signing bonus, so I'd never really seen commas in a check before. And when you get called up and you sign your major league contract that they're selecting, there's I guess all the legal that goes into that, but it actually took place just in the equipment room, in the laundry room next to the dryer with the traveling secretary. But I remember looking down and seeing the amount that I was going to be paid and thinking, oh, like, I'm good. Like I made it. Like, never got to play again. This is crazy.
That's awesome. Yeah, now I get the pension, the 10 years, all that stuff. It's beautiful, man. Congrats. So what's the focus, man? What's the next 5 years hold for you?
That's so going through a rehab right now of Tommy John actually hurt my elbow the first game of this season with Detroit. So I have about a 12-month recovery process on that, and really just at this point taking it day by day and going back to a lot of those fundamentals, like we talked about earlier, where I'm taking care of myself, making sure physically, mentally, and moving the ball forward continually every single day, and that will eventually lead to me completing this rehab process, seeing how my body's feeling, what my performance looks like, and then if I want to pursue opportunities to continue to keep playing at that point. But then also continuing to learn, reading books, taking an online class here and there to continue to expand or just challenge myself, I think, more than anything. I really enjoy that. And then being a dad, enjoying my family, my wife and kids. That's something that is, it's very rewarding, and as much as rewarding as it is to be a professional and to have the compensation and the rewards that come along with being a high achiever. I think there's nothing that compares to the limited amount of time that we have to be dads, and then to invest in relationship with the spouse.
Yeah, best job in the world, man. Well, Trevor Rosenthal, it's been a complete honor to have you, man. It's been awesome. Loved watching your career with St. Louis, and we'll continue to watch your career. And so I hope that arm gets healed up and get you back on the mound, and we'll see you out there. But where can our listeners find more of you?
Yeah, we've been posting some more content recently on the X platform, formerly Twitter. Instagram is a great place. I try and be active on both of those mediums, and would love to interact with anybody that would like to follow.
I think you got a new logo you made too, didn't you?
Yeah, the boys at Hat Launch, again, shameless plug, but they helped me out putting together a logo, and I've been sporting it recently. I've actually had a lot of really cool feedback and people who are friends and family that would like to be involved with that. So maybe there's something there. Maybe there's a business in the future.
Yeah. And what's the goal with that? Do you know? Is there anything with that, or is it just because it's cool, or are you going to do something with it?
I think at this point it's more or less of doing the things that Matt Holliday did for me. And I have a lot of earned experience in the game and in life, and to share that. And if one thing helps one person, it was all for it. But, the brand and the social media stuff, that's just today's world. And so, trying to figure it out just like everybody else. Yep.
But I like it, man. Just feedback for you. I love seeing the workouts, and just, then it inspires me. All right, I got to go that next mile, man. I got to do a harder workout today when you see that type of stuff. So I appreciate you doing it all, man. And it's been awesome having you on the Circuit of Success, brother. Thanks for being with me.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on. This has been great.